Okay, so there's three things that can happen when you relate sides of a triangle. First, they can be equal to each other. If they're equal to each other, then we know we have a right triangle. Okay, you can also take the longest side. So if A, B, and C, A and B represents the two shorter sides of a triangle, and C represents the longest side of any random triangle. If the square of the longest side is greater than the sum of the squares of the other two sides, then you can classify the triangle. And it's easy to visualize that. If you look at, let's assume these two pens are the legs of a right triangle, and my hand represents the hypotenuse. So here is a right triangle. If the square of this the longest side is more than it would be in a right triangle, what kind of a triangle do you have? Obtuse. It gets pushed out. So if the c squared value, the longest side squared, is greater than the sum of the squares of the other two sides, you have an obtuse triangle. Okay? Again, you can visualize the other relationship. What happens if the longest side squared is smaller than the sum of the squares of the other side? So again, here's your right triangle. If this side squared is smaller than it is in a right triangle, what kind of a triangle do you wind up creating? An acute triangle. Okay. So if I gave you values of 4, 6, and 7, I want you to see what type of triangle would this create. A right triangle, obtuse, or acute? The A and B are the smaller two sides. C is the longest side, no matter what order they actually present the material in. Okay, so if you set this up, we take the sum of the squares of the two smaller side, 4 squared plus 6 squared, compare that to 7 squared. Okay, so you get 16 plus 36 versus 49. Again, you don't even need to know exactly what the value is, but you can compare it. The longest side squared is smaller than it would be in a right triangle, so it gets adjusted in to create an acute triangle. Okay. Try one more. What about, again, make sure the A, B, and C values represent A and B as the smaller two sides. C is the longest side. And what's going to happen if you take a triangle with these three sides? All right, 10.7% of you said acute. That's incorrect. 17.9% of you said right. That's incorrect.
Let's go.
57% of you said, or 60% of you said obtuse, and that's incorrect.
So they're all incorrect. It's not a triangle.
Is it even a triangle? Now, just because you learn a new rule, don't forget your old rules. And the old rule states what?
The longest side is equal to
Triangle inequality says the sum of the two smaller sides has to be what compared to the longest side? Has to be longer than it. Okay, so again, be very careful. Okay, it's likely to come up again. Well,